Hi guys. How much fun is this? Pretty happy. Been happy in general. My son just turned 10 years old. Thank you. It's been a pleasure watching him grow up from a little bitty baby into a 10-year-old psychopath. And you can chart his descent into madness by how he's changed his stance on pinatas. When he was a toddler, he was terrified of pinatas. And it was my job to vanquish them. Now he treats a pinata like he's a mob boss from New Jersey. And Optimus Prime owes him several $1,000s. He works it across the knees for a little bit. Takes a break so he can kiss his mother and pay some respect. Then he bashes in the skull. And I take pictures and post it on my Facebook. So my son is 10, which is wonderful. He has autism, which can be difficult. He's also a huge asshole. Some people don't like it when I call my 10-year-old disabled child an asshole. To which I always respond, if you only use 30 words and your 3 favorite are more pancakes, biatch. Actually, that's pretty cool. I didn't know how to describe raising a child with autism until I went to a festival recently and it became clear. To me, taking care of this child is like taking care of your very best friend after they've done way too many shrooms. While you yourself are on a moderate amount of shrooms. I'm not confident about all the decisions I'm making. But I know you should not be eating a mouse pad right now. Having a son made me want to get a better job and be more responsible. And I had a good job before he was born. I worked in tax services, which is a lot of fun. Not if you're preparing the taxes, but if you're the guy dressed as the Statue of Liberty, popping and locking. It's pretty cool. It made me feel like a black superhero. Cause I thought me dressed as Lady Liberty, dancing to One Nation Under a Groove, has to be a skinhead's version of the apocalypse. I enjoy marijuana a little bit. I don't know if you can tell by that giggle. But it has so many uses. When I have some, I write pretty awesome jokes. When I run out, I write pretty awesome poetry. I'd like to share one. I don't need no new friends! That one's called Just My Thoughts.
I'm marching again.
One dude was right. So people stopped that had no business. There was a guy digging in the trash. He's like, who the bitch? There was somebody in the store that popped his head out like, who the bitch? One dude was riding a bike, minding his business. Skirt, who the bitch? Hold on, let me get off the bike and park this motherfucker. I need to see who the bitch is. I'm your host. I'm your host, Roy with Junior. You can catch him on the Netflix series Disjointed. Give it up for Chris Red. I'm from Chicago, where I was raised mostly. There's a big gang culture. Don't know if you heard. And growing up, man, I looked up to like the wrong kind of people because I was just like one of those guys who wanted to fit in with what I thought was cool. Who I looked up to was gangsters, man. Gangsters and pimps. They were the coolest people to me, man. They had like cars and shit, right? With women, money. They had the coolest outfits. Pimps had the limb. And I'm like, are they hurting? No, nigga. That's just swag. You know what I mean? And it was cool to me, man. So I looked up to that. My big cousin, he was like the head of some gangsters, and it was so cool to watch him do shit. And I was like, I want to be down with that. And I liked fighting too. I love to watch fighting, but I didn't know how. I had never been in a fight. Most I had ever done at this point was be in the mirror like, ooh, if that fist come, I'll be like, no. It's just stupid, because you don't know how fast fists move. Fists move fast. I don't know if anybody has ever been hit, but it moves fast, and then another one comes right after, like, this is my brother. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. But my story is about how I lost my first 2 fights trying to be down. And I remember it like it was yesterday. Because, you know, we all remember the things that depress us the most. I remember when my cousins, they parked their cars outside, they walked up to my house, and they were like, yo, Chris, you want to walk to the corner store with us? And my cousin, real thug, 6'5", tattoos all over the place, tattooed tear on his face. He's not a killer, he's just a crier, but the nigga is real, you know? And he was hanging out with so many gangsters, like 6 other dudes, and they were all gangsters that everybody knew, and they wanted me to walk to the store with them. And I'm like, hell yeah, dog, I don't walk. And I was so excited and terrified because these were dangerous people. And I don't know if you've walked somewhere with somebody you scared of, but you don't walk like a normal person. I know it's 1 foot in front of the other. I know how walking works. But when you're around somebody carrying a pistol bigger than your head, you start thinking about shit. So I'm walking the streets like 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. What's up, dog? I'm saying what's up to people I don't know. My cousin's smacking my hand out. Stop speaking to people you don't know, nigga. What's wrong with you? And then his friend was like, yo, what's wrong with your cousin? He's like, he retarded. So I finally got cool, right? Finally got comfortable. It was a long walk. So I finally, like, oh man, I'm walking with the coolest guys in the neighborhood, man. I'm on my quest to be a gangster. That's right, I was on a quest to be a gangster. That's what I wanted to be. And then, as right before we get to the corner store, right, this guy, he was about 20 years old. I was 14 at the time. He walked right into me, full shoulder, pow, right in the middle of my chest. Boom, hit me, right? And I knew he did it on purpose. But see, I have two parents. I was raised right, so initially I wanted to be like, excuse me, but I felt like this wasn't the right environment for manners, motherfucker. So I didn't say that, but what I did say was, huh, which is not better. I was like a weak ass James Brown, you know? Huh, don't push me, huh. And that sound was very loud. The guy was confused, and he thought I had said something, so he turned around. He said, what the hell you say, bitch? Now, we're outside on the south side of Chicago. There's a bunch of people all around, and when somebody says bitch like that in the hood, everyone stops to see who the bitch is, you know? And so people stopped that had no business. There was a guy digging in the trash. He's like, who the bitch? There was somebody in the store that popped his head out like, who the bitch? One dude was riding a bike, minding his business. Skirt, who the bitch? Hold on, let me get off the bike and park this motherfucker. I need to see who the bitch is. My cousins, they were not fazed at all. They just looked at me because all of those gangsters knew they weren't the bitch. And I was like, holy shit, I've never talked shit to somebody in front of people before in public. This is my first time dealing with this. So I was like, that is not my name. That is not the way to talk to a grown gangster with an alligator tattooed on his face. I said that shit as if I was gonna pull out my ID like, look, my name is Christopher Jarrell Red and ain't no bitch in there, so. I could tell it wasn't the right way to respond to this man by his face. He was confused. He was like, the fuck? The alligator on his face was confused with him. And he slapped my hand, right? Because I was pointing at him. And he smacked my hand. Now, what I wanted to do was like, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to do something cool, but what came out was, that ain't hurt, which it did. And you can visually tell it hurt because my face said, And he was like, yo, never mind all this shit, man. I'm about to fuck you up. And then I was like, oh, no. I said that in my head. I was like, nah. But I realized I hadn't spoken yet. And my cousin was like, dog, you gotta prove yourself in front of all these gangsters. So I knew I had to say something, right? So I was like, that is not the outcome, which is terrible. That's not how you respond to people. I said that shit like I had some type of bar graph behind me. If you look here, this is you, this is me, this is the outcome, and they're very different. Class dismissed. I knew it wasn't enough because my cousin was looking at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you? He didn't say that, but his eyes said it. His eyes was like... So I knew I had to follow it up, so I was like, you know what? I'm not good at this. I'm gonna just say what he said because it sounded real good. And so I was like, no, I'ma fuck you. And before I could say up, he hit me directly in my throat. Like direct, it was a direct line to my throat. My Adam's apple checked out, nigga. I don't know if you've been hit directly in your throat, but a couple things happen. For one, your throat says, fuck it, and it just closes forever. Your spit is like, it's suicidal. Like, goodbye, I don't need to be in the mouth. Dog, I got hit so hard in my throat that I had a limp, and that is not how science works. I was like, oh, nigga, I'm a pimp now. I'm halfway to my goal. It made no sense, and I farted a little bit. I did. I farted. Yo, I've never been hit so hard I fart. But my throat was closed, so the air had to go somewhere. I don't know. It was very embarrassing, man. But what was more embarrassing is this was outside, man. So people from across the street saw a very different fight than the fight that went down. You know what I mean? Like, yo, dog, what happened over there, bro? That was crazy over there. What happened? All right, so let me tell you. So the bigger dude was like, I'm gonna fuck you up, right? And for whatever reason, the little dude was like, I'm gonna fuck you. Like, why would you say that? So the bigger dude hit him in the throat, saved his asshole for another day. You know what I'm saying? And that was the story that went around the hood for like 6 months at least. And I was like, that's not how it went down. My cousin was very embarrassed. He had a reputation to maintain. And I got my ass whipped for the whole hood. He grabbed me and took me home under my arm. There's no way to keep your masculinity when you're being grabbed under your arm by a grown man. I'm like, let me go. He's like, make me. I'm like, you know I can't, you know. Don't be. So he threw me in the house, you know what I mean? He was like, Chris, stay out these goddamn streets. This shit ain't for you, dog. All right, go to school. Be somebody. But this shit ain't for you. You got hit directly in your throat, nigga. And you farted in front of everybody. And I was like, yo, keep it down. From who, nigga? Everybody saw it. And then he closed the door and I was like, no, I gotta avenge myself. But he was gone already. And usually, you know, when something like that happens, you're like, you know what, this isn't for me. He's right. I'm gonna go do something else. But I was a hard-headed kid with goals. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna learn how to fight. I'm gonna redeem myself. This is what I'm about to do. So the whole year until they asked me to fight again, I was practicing. Where I was fighting friends. We would just beatboxing, wrestling in the yard and shit, get my hands up. I would watch Bruce Lee because I didn't know what a boxing class was yet. Bruce Lee was the baddest motherfucker around, dog. You watch his tapes, he was beating 15 people at the same time. People waiting in line to get their ass whooped by Bruce Lee. I was like, hell yeah, I want to be that good. I would practice all his moves, and I was like, yo, whenever I get in the fight again, I'm gonna be ready. And it was a year later when my cousin asked me to come fight with them, right? He was like, yo, I heard from a couple people, man, that you got some hands now, you've been in some fights. Listen, we gotta handle some shit, man. Me and some other dudes, you wanna ride with us? I was like, hell yeah, man, because I gotta redeem myself. And my cousin was like, don't ever say that again. Nigga, you are not a coupon. And he was right, I'm not a coupon. He's very right about that. So I jumped in the truck, and it was me, my cousin, and the 5 other dudes that was with us when I got my ass whooped the first time. So most of the conversation was about how I got my ass whooped the first time. Which sucks, because they're like, and this bitch ass nigga, I'm like, I'm right here, and I have a name. At one point, I was like, hey, this isn't good for morale, and they didn't know what... And they didn't know what morale meant. They thought it was a chick that wasn't giving me no pussy. So then they started talking shit about that for 10 minutes. Like, oh, morale ain't giving this nigga no pussy. I'm like, man, I wish I didn't drop out of 8th grade. But I just let it happen. There wasn't nothing I could do. Now in Chicago, we used to fight in these like old lots or these old fields so that police wouldn't lock you up for, you know, extended amounts of time like they do black people in America. So we could fight and go home. You know what I'm saying? It's before like shooting. Well, they're still shooting, but these guys would fight it out, right? And so we rode up to this field. It was my first time being in this field and shit, right? And I'm looking around as I get out the car. And the sun is set, and there's flowers. I'm like, yo, this is a romantic place to get your ass whooped. Why are we fighting in an R. Kelly set? I don't want to get knocked out and fall in love, nigga. I didn't say this is all in my head, though. I wasn't saying nothing. I had learned from my mistakes. I was like, I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm gonna be tough the whole time. So I was grabbing my dick way longer than I should. I was walking around like, yo, what's good? At one point, the gangster was like, yo, what's wrong with your dick? Nothing, nigga. I slowly... He was like, you gotta make sure it's there? I'm like, shut the fuck up. So we waited. It's me and 6 other dudes, right? Now, 2 cars pull up, right? 2 4-door sedans. There was 20 dudes in these 2 4-door sedans. And I don't know if y'all do math quick, but 20 dudes cannot fit comfortably in two four-door sedans. That meant that these gangsters rolled to this gang fight lapped up, which is not a gangster way to travel. That means that y'all were riding like, yo, we gonna fuck them up. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And the dude's like, yeah, but can you lift your butt? Cause you thick, dog. Why you twerking on me, cuz? 20 dudes, y'all didn't have one more car? But I ain't say nothing. And they pulled up, 20 dudes, clown card out the fucking cars. And they stretched along this field, the sun was behind them, and for a split second I was like, are these niggas the heroes? Cause they look like the heroes of this story. But I ain't say nothing, man. And as they walked towards us, everybody was doing whatever they do. I was sitting there holding my dick. I think I was holding it with two hands, which is so weird. Like, don't kick me here, you know. Then the guy in the middle, he was like, yeah, man, hey. Yo, we about to fuck y'all. And before he could say up, I was like, not again. I ran. Which had to be weird for the guys hear me say not again. Cause who does that ever in life? Not again. But I ran so fast, everybody was shouting like, where's he going? You know what I mean? They all had questions. I ran up to the guy in the middle, I jumped, and I realized he's very tall. So I had to bring it up here, bow, and I swung and I hit and I connected to his chin right now. Hitting somebody when they don't deserve it, it's an asshole thing to do. But when you hit somebody that's trying to kill you, ooh, it feels great. And I was like, oh, fireworks went off in my head. It was amazing. I was like, I'm the king of everything. I saw his spit fly. I was like, I know what that's like, you know? It was a solid punch, man. You know, it was great. And I was celebrating. I'm like, yeah, I'm finally a gangster. In my mind, I'm saying this. And as I'm saying this, 4 fists hit me at the same time. And I don't know if you've been hitting unison, but the shit hurts a lot. One felt like it came from God, like you shouldn't be here. You know? And as I got hit at the same time, I yelled out, y'all supposed to wait like Bruce Lee. Like, that's... Yeah, I yelled that dumb shit out. Yeah. And I fell to the ground. I think I knocked out for about 30, 40 seconds, right? I came to, my face fucking hurting, pulsating everywhere. But I looked around, and I noticed that nobody was fighting because everybody was laughing at what the fuck I just said. These grown gangsters holding guns like, this nigga thinks he's Bruce. Yo, they're reenacting what just happened. Like, who am I? Have you ever seen a good conversation and you try to laugh? That's what I did with this. Like, right, that was crazy, huh? They pushed me away like, shut your bitch ass. And after 10 minutes of them laughing at me, pointing, laughing, reenacting, and laughing, the gangster from the other gang was like, you know what, dog? Oh, that was funny as hell. Hey, dog, you know what? I forgot what the fuck we was fighting about. Hey, dog, let's go to McDonald's, grab some food, go get some drinks, man, and just chill and let's talk about your cousin some more. And all I'm saying is I'm bringing communities together, so what the fuck are y'all doing? My name is Chris Red.
Oh, man.
I'm marching against Jewel. Is it just me or does this feel endless? And I'll keep marching and stop treating humans like test subjects. Oh, excuse me.
Fact. No one knows the long-term effects of juuling. Do you?
Cupcakes here for you people.
Andrew Dice Clay looks at Donald Trump. He says, Donnie, there wasn't enough cream cheese in the bagels in the green room. The president says, Andrew, whose problem is that? He says, it's your problem, Donnie. It's your problem. Andrew, you're fired.
Welcome to This Is Not Happening. I'm your host, Roy Wood Jr. Some say it only lasts 15 minutes. Some people are going to tell you it's a mythical creature that lives at the bottom of the rainbow. Some will tell you not to overdo it. ask me, I say, enjoy it while it lasts. He's a legend in the game. 2 words, Tom Green.
You know, I don't like talking politics, but it's hard for me to not talk politics when I'm on stage doing stand-up because I know the president. And that's my story today. I know the president. I know the president of the United States. He fired me on The Celebrity Apprentice. He screamed at me when he fired me. He didn't scream at the other celebrities. He didn't scream at Brian McKnight. Whoever the fuck that is. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. The president fired me. You know, I watched The Celebrity Apprentice. I used to watch that show. And I thought, I could win that. I could win that business competition. So when they asked me to do the show, I thought, this is great. I'm going to do The Celebrity Apprentice. I'm going to win this thing. And I studied the show. I studied all the strategy. I got the tapes. I was going to win this thing. Episode 1. I showed up. I didn't know who the other celebrities were going to be. In walks my good friend, Andrew Dice Clay. One of the great stand-up comedians in history. And my good friend. I'd known Andrew Dice Clay for 10 years. He used to come do my internet television show. I was doing an internet TV show on the internet from my living room. Yeah, my career was going pretty well. Immediately when Andrew walked in, I thought, okay, this is going to throw my whole strategy out the window. Because whenever I'm hanging out with Andrew Dice Clay, we like to mess around with people. We'll get in fake arguments just to confuse people around us. So in the first episode of The Celebrity Apprentice, Season 2, the president gave us a challenge. We had to make cupcakes. I guess the president figured that would be a good business competition. So I'm making cupcakes with Andrew Dice Clay. We start messing with the people around us. Andrew gets mad. He says, Tommy, you're not putting enough sugar in the batter. I say, calm down, Andrew, calm down. Clint Black and Scott Hamilton are looking at us. Wow, these guys really seem to know each other. So now we had an alliance against us, right? Andrew Dice Clay and I were too familiar. Clint Black didn't like me. Country star Clint Black. I don't want to say anything bad about Clint Black, but that guy's a fucking asshole. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. So we finish our cupcake challenge. We go to the boardroom. Everyone hears that we've been yelling at each other. The President of the United States says to Andrew Dice Clay, Andrew, I hear there was a problem today. Andrew Dice Clay looks at Donald Trump. He says, Donnie, there wasn't enough cream cheese in the bagels in the green room. The President says, Andrew, whose problem is that? He says, it's your problem, Donnie. It's your problem. Andrew, you're fired. So now my friend, my only ally, is fired. I'm all alone with Jesse James, Clint Black, Herschel Walker, Dennis Rodman. Episode 2. Olympic gold medalist figure skater Scott Hamilton is the project manager. Our task is to make a commercial campaign for a shoe company that starts with the letter Z. Okay? Doesn't matter which one, but it starts with the letter Z. He suggests to us that we do a campaign called EEE. Energy, Enthusiasm, Excitement. I look at Scott and I say, that's the stupidest fucking idea I've ever heard. This did not ingratiate me to my team members. We lost the challenge. We go into the boardroom. I don't know if you're familiar with the rules of The Apprentice, but the President of the United States says to Olympic figure skater Scott Hamilton, Scott, you get to fire one person. Who are you bringing into the boardroom today? You can bring 2 people into the boardroom. Who are you bringing in? And Scott Hamilton says, Mr. Trump, I know I can bring 2 people into the boardroom, but I'm only bringing 1 person into the boardroom, and that's Tom, because Tom deserves to get fired. He says, fine, and we walk out into the hallway, and we wait around, and the other cast members leave, and then we go back into the boardroom. I look at the President of the United States. And I say, I know, Mr. Trump, that Scott doesn't think I did a very good job, but I think the reason that we lost this challenge was because his idea was to call the campaign EEE. It starts with a Z, and that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. And Donald Trump looked at me and said, you know, Tom, I think you're right. Scott, you're fired. And I got him fired. I got him fired. I got Scott Hamilton fired. I got Scott Hamilton fired. Yeah. I got Scott Hamilton fired. I'm not bitter or anything, but it was 8 years ago. I'm fine now. Episode 3. The President of the United States walks in. Says, now we're going to decide who is the project manager this week for each team. Who's the men versus the women. I raise my hand. I say, Mr. Trump, I would like to be the project manager. Our whole team looks at each other. They say, fine. On the ladies' side, the late, great, legendary Joan Rivers. Great. She is the project manager for the ladies. Then Mr. Trump, the president, says, okay, your challenge this week is who can sell the most wedding dresses.
Shit.
Who do you think is going to sell more wedding dresses? Me and Dennis Rodman, or Joan Rivers and Khloe Kardashian? So needless to say, things didn't go well. My entire team now had an alliance against me. They mutinied. Everyone had a job. Clint Black was supposed to do the promotion and marketing. He didn't do it. Brian McKnight was supposed to do some stupid thing. He didn't do it. We lost the challenge. At the end of the day, after working hard, trying to sell wedding dresses, Dennis Rodman leaned to me and he said, hey, Tom, you want to go out for a drink? So I went out for a drink with Dennis Rodman. The president fired me because I went out drinking with Dennis Rodman on the night I was the project manager. I mean, this is why sometimes I question the president's judgment. I mean, what are you supposed to do? You're a kid from Canada. You're in New York City. A 7-foot-tall cross-wrestling basketball champion asks you out on a date. You say yes, right? Because Dennis Rodman, right? Dennis Rodman. The guy's a legend. He's probably going to pick you up, take you out for a steak dinner. You head out for a night on the town. You have some cranberry vodkas. You hit the strip club. At the end of the evening, you head back to the hotel. If you're lucky, he doesn't have sex with you. So what I call a backcourt violation. Okay. Little basketball joke. I don't know. I guess as a Canadian, sometimes I feel odd talking politics during this strange year in America. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, what do I got to do with it, right? I know things could go bad, but if things really go bad, I'm just going to move home to Canada. We're building a wall. I'm going to make Donald Trump pay for it. You know? If I can say one thing, I will say that it does demystify the presidency when you know the president. I know the president personally. The president knows me. Anyone who knows me should probably not be president. Hey, thank you very much, everybody.
Get a 2019 Ford F-150 for $14,500 off MSRP.
Okay.
We got the tailgates down and we're feeling all right. My Hossy and the friends are saving money tonight. And I realize she's looking at a pig driving a car doing cocaine. And today, all the stories are about nostalgia. Hells yes. This first comic, what an honor to introduce him. He's absolutely hilarious, a legend of stand-up comedy. Please give it up for my friend and yours, Mr. Artie Lang, everybody. My story has to do with cocaine. And, yeah, but listen, I've had a love affair with cocaine, love-hate affair, you know, it's, I mean, I'm the only guy who ever got fat on cocaine as far as... I went to rehab for coke. I swear to God, this is a true story. I'm in group therapy, and this black kid walked up to me and said, "What are you pouring that shit on cheeseburgers?" God damn, you're the fattest cokehead I've ever seen. That's how black guys talked in my rehab. I went to rehab in 1888. Okay. Here's the story. I come out here in 1995 to do a show called Mad TV. It was a sketch comedy show. Thank you. I mean, you know, the show was, it was fun. You know, I was 27 years old, came out here, and the first time I was ever out here was a screen test for Mad TV. And I came out here with a job, making like 10 grand a week, and it was great. The problem was I brought from New York City a massive cocaine problem. And I somehow had a coke problem with $40 in my pocket in New York. Now I had 10 grand a week, okay? And I literally would intercept the checks at Mad TV. I would go to the accounting office at Mad TV before it went to my agent. I would get the check, I would cash it, I would send like 4 grand to my mother because she needed it. I would put 6 grand in my pocket and walk around LA like I was Jack fucking Nicholson, you know. And, you know, I had a blast, but, you know, I was on a train that was going to hit a mountain, you know, that was it. Moving real fast. So, a lot of the sketches on Mad TV we did film parodies, okay, because that's Mad, it was based on Mad Magazine. And, you know, you did these bad puns of movie titles. And we'd have a pitch meeting to pitch this stuff. And I would just say stuff as a joke. Like instead of dead man walking, I say Ed McMahon walking. As a joke in the back, cut to me in 3 hours of prosthetics as Ed McMahon. Stuff like one time I pitched. They told us that Tori Spelling had agreed to do a guest spot on the show, and I pitched the Tori Spelling Bee. And it was the Tori Spelling Bee, and she would, have to spell words, and she would have to use words in a sentence. And the one word she would have to spell was nepotism. And then usually in the sentence was her looking right at the camera going, I like nepotism. So stuff like that. So one of the sketches we did was called Babe Watch. And that was Babe the Pig in Baywatch. My hand to God. So guess who played Babe the Pig? Come on. And there was a lot of fucking money for these sketches at the time. We had a big budget, so we shot it on location in Malibu. It was a 2-day shoot. I go out there, I had to be there at 4 a.m. to get 3 hours of pig prosthetics, a pig face, a pig snout, 6 teats, the bikini top on each one. That was the joke, you know. And you didn't see us at the Emmys a lot back then. So anyway, yeah. So 6 teats and a pig snout. Now the woman who did the makeup was the best in the business at this. So 3 hours of prosthetics, I looked like a fucking pig, man. I looked in the mirror and I was like, my God, I had a pig snout covering my mouth and my nose and the ears and all that shit and the teeth. So I go back to my trailer. We got about an hour before we're shooting. I go back and I start eating. Now I catch a glimpse of me in the mirror eating. Guys, I'm going, I'm a fucking pig. I'm a pig eating. This is not why I signed up for this. I don't want to be in show business to be this, you know. So I really started to freak out. It was like a 14-hour shoot. And I said, I'm not going to get through this without cocaine. Not going to happen. So my coke dealer in New York hooked me up with this guy, a contact he had in L.A. who was a coke dealer. And this guy, he's a Rastafarian guy. I don't want to be, racial, but they just happen to dominate that business, all right? And he was the best cocaine dealer ever. He was always right on time. You called him, he was like, I'm there, you know. He was always at a party, no matter what time of the day it was. He was like that, like Harvey Keitel in Pulp Fiction, you know. The wolf, like, you sending the wolf, baby? That's cool in the gang. So I call him. I call him from the set. And I go, dude, you gotta meet me on the Pacific Coast Highway. We're in Malibu, by Oxnard. He goes, you gotta meet me. I gotta get something from you. I gotta get an 8-ball from you. And he goes, all right. Can you get to this restaurant, Duke's? Can you get to the restaurant on the Pacific Coast Highway? And I'm like, yeah, I think I can. So I hang up with him. I look around. Now I'm in every shot of this sketch. I look at the assistant directors and not looking for 2 seconds. I run to my car. I get in my car and I speed the fuck away. I speed away. I'm doing like at 90 miles an hour. Looking, I'm telling you, exactly like a pig. I do like 90 up the highway. It took about 20 minutes. I get to Duke's. I pull in. He's already there. The fucking guy. He goes, we had a brunch at Duke's? What happened? Because, anyone here who does drugs, you got to score, coke or heroin or, we all know what it's like to score heroin, right? I don't know. I was at a church social. Sorry. So, they're never there. These guys are never there. So you're supposed to meet them, in Brooklyn, and you get a call a half hour later. The guy goes, like a Puerto Rican guy going, yeah, man, I'm in North Carolina now. Excuse me? Because I'm in Brooklyn. Yeah, man, I'm sorry, I fucked up. Can you get to North Carolina? This guy was efficient. Okay. So I get there, I get out of my car, I run to him, he gets out of his car. Now, I never told him I was on a TV show because I was afraid to, share my life with him. And I forget myself. He sees me get out of this car, dressed exactly like a pig. And he looks at me and he's so fucking I'll never forget the look on his face. When I retell this story, this might be the funniest fucking part. He looks at me and goes, damn, man, what kind of crazy shit are you into? You probably thought I was at some crazy drug party, you know. People dressed like pigs, like the Eyes Wide Shut orgy scene, you know. What's the other password? So I said I had to come clean. Oh no, I'm on a TV show. I'm doing a sketch. Like I'm paid the pig. It's a long story. And then he goes, you got a show? What show you on? And I go, Man TV. He goes, oh damn! I said, look, can we talk about this later? I just need the coke, you know. He was starstruck for a second. So I get the cocaine from him. I can't pay. I don't have anything on me. But he was again the best drug dealer ever. He took credit. He goes, oh fine, don't worry about it. So I grabbed the coke, and now I'm like so freaked. I got to do something. I have to do something immediately, just to get myself ready for what I'm going back to. I get back in my car, and anyone who's ever had a cocaine problem knows what a key hit is. You put, if you don't have a straw, you know, you put some coke on a key. You know this. I apologize. You look really grossed out by me, but for a ton of reasons. But so I put some coke. Again, forgetting what I look like. I put some coke on the end of a key. I go to do it. I can't get the coke through the pig snap. I can't do it. So now I'm thinking I'm the only one in the history of the world who's ever had this problem. So now 3 hours of prosthetics I went through, okay? And I'm trying to get the fucking, you know, key through the thing. I can't do it, so I'm like, fuck it. I make a decision. I break the fucking nose. Which means when I get back there, it's going to be an hour of fixing it before we shoot. I'm in every shot. So I break the fucking pig nose. I do a couple of blasts. I'm like, okay, I'm fine. Now I get back on the Pacific Coast Highway. I rush back towards Oxnard. I stop at a light at Topanga Canyon, and I figure I'm going to do another hit. It's broad daylight. It's like 8 in the morning. So I do another hit. I got it up to my nose like this. I look over, and there's this beautiful woman in a Lamborghini. This is the look on her face. And I realize she's looking at a pig driving a car doing cocaine. Then I'm thinking, you know, fuck her. It's LA. It's probably the third time she saw that. I just, at this point, I have no end about it. Fuck it. I don't care who sees what. So I do another hit. I drive. I get to the fucking set. Everybody wants to kill me. But they can't really say it yet because we got to do 14 hours of shooting. So they see that my fucking nose is fucked up. They have to redo my nose. And, you know, we start shooting, and everybody couldn't stand. Look, I was a fuck up. Every 2 hours, I broke the nose again to do coke. And every 2 hours, she had to fix it, and she knew what was going on. I wasn't fooling anybody. So this happens. We get through the day, and it's a nightmare. So we had to shoot the next day. They got us a little motel right on the ocean there, which was next to the shoot. So I go in, I fall asleep. They rip all the shit off me. I fall asleep in the bed. I wake up the next morning. At some point during the night, every bad thing in my body must have just fell out of me. I mean, yeah, I shit the bed. And I had a lot of bad in me. I wake up, you know the scene in The Godfather, the horses that where he wakes up, he sees all the blood. I was like, ah! Ah! I had shit all over the bed. I was late. I had no time to clean it up. I took a steaming hot shower. Steaming hot. Took everything off, got dressed, ran out. I had no time. We were checking out of the hotel. I had no time to clean up. So I threw the bedspread over all the shit. I mean, it was a river of shit. I just threw it over the fucking thing and left. What could I do, you know? I had no cash for a tip. Which is very rude. And I got there, I got through the day, everything was fine. So we're driving home, and I'm thinking about the hotel I'm worried about. I'm like, oh, well, you know, I'm just going to have to be embarrassed by that. But then I realized the room wasn't in my name. The room was in the name of the first assistant director. This guy Josh, if they want to blame somebody, they can say, oh, this guy Josh, you know, shit the bed and didn't clean up. Which got me off the hook, but it made me feel happy. It really did. The Rasta guy, the coke dealer, again, he was the single coolest motherfucker as far as fast living, didn't care. About 2 years later, I found out that he was in a metallic blue Corvette driving with this chick he dated up a winding street up by Northern California. He was doing like 100 miles an hour, veered off, hit a 18-wheeler, and just two people disintegrated. That's how he died. So he's dead. And I'll tell you what, in the weirdest of ways, and this is why I'm a fuck up in life, and I care about all the wrong things. In the weirdest of ways, I miss that motherfucker more than anybody I've ever met in Los Angeles. My name's Artie Lang. That's my story.
I'm marching against Jewel. Is it just me or does this feel endless? And I'll keep marching until they stop treating humans like test subjects. Oh, excuse me.
Fact. No one knows the long-term effects of juuling. Do you?
Cupcakes here for you people.
Oh, yes! Yes! Woo! This is what I'm talking about right here. This is why I don't leave when people do drugs. Now I'm at a house party and this guy's got an alligator on his face. Give it up for Mr. Ryan Sickler, everybody. You guys like drugs? All right. I don't really do drugs, all right? I smoke a little weed. I drink a beer now and then. I've never done cocaine. I've never done acid. I'm not into pills. Like, the hard stuff scares me, all right? But in the right situation, I love to be around people on drugs. Anything is possible when someone's on drugs. All right, like right now, if you said, hey, do you mind if I smoke some heroin while you tell this story? I'd say, fire that shit up. Let's see where the night takes you. So, I'm originally from Baltimore and grew up out in Sykesville, Maryland. And when I graduated high school, I played soccer for junior college, a.k.a. community college, a.k.a. the 13th grade. And so when you play sports with guys in high school, you play all 4 years, you know them well, you're in school with them, everybody knows each other. When I got to college, not everyone knew each other, and a dude on the team said, hey man, a friend of mine is having a party tonight down in Fort McHenry. We should all go, get to know one another, and hang out. Now, quick history lesson for you here if you don't know. Fort McHenry is where Francis Scott Key wrote our national anthem, all right? He wrote the Star Spangled Banner there. I'm going to a house party there. We all have our path. So I get to the door and I knock on the door, and this big dude answers. And when I say big, I don't want to be misleading. He wasn't built like The Rock, but he was more like Sloth from Goonies, okay? Sizable. Dude was sizable. And he says, "Welcome to my party. My name is Sparks." I said, "Well, thank you for having me, Sparks." I go in. I'm hanging out with the guys on the team. We're drinking and smoking. Sparks is right there, drinking and smoking with us. Then he disappears downstairs. A few minutes later, he comes back up, drinking and smoking, disappears downstairs again. Now, I don't know what's going on down there. I can hear some voices. I only assume it's like buddies of his, local guys. They've been there a while. They're not mixing with us. We're not mixing with them. But Sparks is going back and forth. About the fifth time, the stairs, he's got cocaine all over his face. And I'm just like, oh, I got it. You're up here drinking and smoking with us. You're down there doing cocaine with them. You're being a great host. So, I don't know if you've ever hung out with someone that's done way too much cocaine at one time, but Sparks has these big eyes and this smile plastered on his face ear to ear, and he's bouncing like this in front of us in the living room like I am in front of you all right now. And he keeps snapping his neck and looking to the rear corner of the living room. He's like, and then he walks back there. And in the corner, there's a little aquarium with a blanket on it. And he rips the blanket off, all right? Now, we're in a row home, all right? It's narrow, but it's deep. So from where I'm sitting, at first, I'm like, man, that kind of looks like an alligator. You know what it actually was? A fucking alligator. Yeah, Sparks has a pet alligator. And it's sitting in this aquarium on some rocks and like half full of water, you know, natural alligator habitat. And Sparks steps right up next to it. And without taking his eyes off of us, he lays his arm in the tank and he starts swaying it back and forth in the water alongside the alligator's body. And I'm like, here we go. Here we go. Here it is. Back and forth. Cocaine. Cocaine. Back and forth. Back and forth. Then he picks the alligator up. Now, there's a dinosaur at the party. Two dudes on the team leave. Guy sitting next to me is like, hey, I think we should get the hell out of here too. And I was like, what are you talking about? This just got good. Like, do I need to remind you right now that you're at a party with marijuana, alcohol, cocaine, and an alligator in a historic neighborhood? Where else do you want to be in the country tonight, man? This is the spot. We got a front row seat. And Sparks is holding this thing by the belly, okay? And it's big, all right? Now, it's not Gator World big. We weren't going to, like, sit on its back and take pictures, but it's like the size of a big cat. I'd say from the snout to the base of the tail, it's about this big, and then the tail hangs down. And he's holding it with both hands by the belly with the snout right at his face like I have this microphone right now. And Guns N' Roses was big at the time. I say that because Sparks busted out his best Axl Rose and starts dancing with this alligator. Cocaine. Cocaine. And then he kisses it on the mouth, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about right here. And then he kisses it again. And you know that little shady side eye that alligators have, that little eye they have, you know? That alligator's looking out at all of us like, is this motherfucker serious? And then he kissed it a third time, and that alligator said, snap! And I was like, oh, yes, yes! Woo, this is what I'm talking about right here. This is why I don't leave when people do drugs. Now I'm at a house party, and this guy's got an alligator on his face. Do you know how pissed off I would have been if I left and someone called me the next day and said, you're not going to believe what happened? Oh, I'd have been devastated. But I didn't leave. I stayed right there. And this alligator is clamped down on Sparks' face. And his eyes, they're still big, completely different emotion in there now. Starting to see the panic settle in. But I'll never forget the look in that alligator's eyes. Because that was his first time tasting flesh, blood, and cocaine. That's like a reptile mega millions right there. And it's on tight, it's not going anywhere. And I'll say this too, for people from Baltimore, some of the toughest people I've ever met in my life. All right, this gator is locked, and he's not screaming. And if he is, I can't hear it over my laughter. And Sparks doesn't know what to do. You know, I'm not getting up and helping. I'm not putting my hand in an alligator's mouth. I just opened another beer. And he knows there's no one coming to his rescue. And he does what he has to do. And he rips it off of his face. Yeah. And he goes over and he sets it back down in the aquarium. And he's got his hand over his face like this. He takes it off. Cocaine's gone at this point. And he goes, I'm not bleeding. And he wasn't. And then he put his hand over his face again and he took it off. And I was like, now you are. A lot, man. Your face isn't supposed to do that, man. Maybe the cocaine acted as a coagulant for a second. But you're gushing right now, man. And Sparks said, I'm calling the cops. I was like, the cop? For what? Alligator assault? What the hell are you calling the cops for, man? Like, let me remind you, man, you've got marijuana, cocaine, and alcohol here with underage kids, and you just took a gator to the face, man. The cops are just going to come in here and beat the hell out of us. You need medical attention. Call 911. They don't care about this kind of stuff. He said, no, I'm calling the cops. I said, well, I'm not going to be here when they get here. And I thank Sparks for having me. Hit him with a see you later alligator. Got the hell out of for him again. I'm Ryan Sickler. Thank you.
In a wild turn of events, animals are demanding Joel not take on humans. Mario?
No one knows the long-term effects of juuling, so any human who uses one is being used as a lab rat. Thank you.
Fact. No one knows the long-term effects of juuling. Do you?
She's like, no, I don't think we can. I'm like, why? She goes, I think my vagina's too small. And first off, that's fucked up. Like, all you have to say is, I think your dick is too big.
Tonight, all the stories are about disasters. You know him from the Nerd of Mouth podcast. Please give it up for Mr. Mike Lawrence, everybody.
I want to talk for a second about my hands. They're glistening. I have the worst handshake ever. You want to shake my hand? Is that not the most disgusting handshake you've ever felt in your life, right? I have Edward Jizzer hands. They are disgusting. And the reason why is I am perpetually nervous and terrified because my experiences with women growing up were awful. I'm first going to tell you about the first time I ever said I love you. It was in an AOL chat room, of course. My screen name was Poetic15 because I was a poetic 15-year-old and I wanted the world to knows it. And also AOL rejected my first screen name, The Jizz Blossoms. And I'm in this chat room, I'm spouting my poems, and this girl, Iguana Lover 69, comes in, which is just proof she's better than the first 68 Iguana Lovers. And she's like, hey, I like your poems. I'm like, why don't we move this to a private chat? Bow, 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 bow. And I realized that sounds more like a Seinfeld bass guitar and less like an erotic bass guitar. Hey girl, let's fuck. So we're in this private chat. I'm like, what are you into? She's like, poetry. I'm like, me too. Like, what else? She's like, comic books. I'm like, me too. Who's your favorite superhero? She's like, Batman. I'm like, me too. So obscure. And I'm like, is there anything else you're into? She's like, you and your smile. And I'm like, I love you. 27 minutes in, it was time-stamped. And I was like, why don't we meet up at a coffee shop sometime? She's like, why don't I meet you at your place at 164 Paradise Way? I'm like, how do you know where I live? She's like, I know many things about you, including your father's credit card information. So then I have to type out, oh my God, because OMG hadn't been invented yet. Rough times. And I bring in my dad. He is furious. My dad cancels all of his credit cards. 30 minutes later, we get a knock at the door. It's my brother, and he just goes, Iguana Lover 69, bitch. I was incestuously catfished. And the worst thing about this was me and my brother were never close growing up because I thought he never understood me as a person. And in the 27 minutes I talked to Iguana Lover 69, he said everything I ever wanted to hear someone say. And that is the worst possible feeling, to realize that your brother is a fucking douchebag. What an incredible listener. And so I was 15 when that happened, and I was traumatized, and at that point I was like, I just want to find real love attached to a real actual person that isn't my brother. And it happened a few months later, and I met a girl named Beth, and we started to go out, and we're sitting on a pickup truck one day making out. This was Florida, that's how you do's. And she was like, you know, she's like, this is great. And I'm like, yeah, it is. I'm like, so when are we gonna do it? Because that's what people say before they do. You know, getting busy, do it. No one who's actually fucking says those things, just horny teenagers. And she's like, I don't like the idea of something inside me. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. Let's stay together. And we did for 6 more years. We never had sex once. Now the weirdest part about this is being able to look at these women and just seeing them go, yeah, I could believe that. I could believe that. Wait, isn't she the protagonist now? I know it was a tough thing. That is not a good combination when one person's prudish and the other is respectful. That never works out. So I'm going to talk you through the years of our relationship. We started in 2000, 2001. Because I always believed that it would happen. I was like, this is going to fucking happen. 2001, got my hand over the right boob, over the shirt. 2002, under the shirt. Yeah! 2003, left boob. Even let me get both in at the same time. It was amazing. Like, she basically, like, made me, like, explore the boobs and then still build me on the boob. She's like, I can release this as one, but you know what? I'm going to make money for it and make more money. That marketing genius. So, and that's the thing. I got the first base, but I think, like, I don't think, like, I hit to first base. I think, like, I was walked there, you know? I got there on a technicality when it takes that long. 2004, finally, I get to touch her the panties. She touches my dick for the first time. Now, this is the thing. It didn't get hard at all because at that point it was like an old man waiting in the DMV who just believed his number was never going to be called at all. Oh, wait, is this me? Oh, shit. What am I here for again? So I'm touching around the panty region. And the thing you must know about this girl, Beth, is that her father lived next door, in the room next door, even though her parents had divorced. He was just like a sad man who listened to one song and would sing it out loud because it helped him reconcile with the divorce. And that song was A Long December by the Counting Crows. And I need to believe, and I have no proof of this, but I need to believe that the moment that she pulled the panty aside so that I could stick my finger in after 4 years of being with her is the moment in the song where Adam Duritz goes, yeah! And it was an amazing feeling. I didn't see, I was like we were both on the bed, like looking like this, you know, like looking through like a kid's pillowcase for trick-or-treat candy, you know, you pull out his Tootsie Rolls, like I wanted real food. And I was like, so we're gonna have sex now. She's like, yeah, let's try it. So we go to the pharmacy, and I sent her in to buy the condoms. I can't buy condoms because, I mean, look at me. Like, I feel so bad for that cashier that would have to imagine me having sex. Like, she's making $8.75 an hour. She doesn't want to also have to deal with. So she goes in, she buys a 12-pack of condoms. I was like, why'd you buy a 12-pack? That's pretty optimistic. She's like, it was on sale. I'm like, oh, that's why we've been together. We go home, and I'm literally like, to put it in, and no, I don't think we can. I'm like, why? She goes, I think my vagina's too small. And first off, that's fucked up. Like, all you have to say is, I think your is too big. I get to feel great about myself, and I'm still not gonna fuck you because I'm not an awful person. And I'm just like, watch out, ladies. It's Excalibur. Who is worthy? So we just sit there the rest of the day, and we last together for 1 more year. We try to spice things up one more time. It was January 14th, my birthday, 2005. She buys erotic dice. She's like, let's try something different. You guys know erotic dice? So it's 2 dice always. 1 dice is like a verb, and it's always like peruse or tickle, and the other is a body part, like earlobe or tummy. Like they sound like they're all like manufactured by a Midwestern couple who hasn't touched each other at all in years. Let's peruse the tummy, don't you know? We're more frigid than the winters in Minnesota. So I roll the dice and I get lick in her thigh. And I'm like, yeah, I'm excited because, you know, I never saw her vagina. And I'm like, I'm finally fucking see it. And she goes, yeah, sure, but I'm not taking my jeans off. And I proceeded to go down and rough in that corduroy muff. I was like, this is pretty good, you know? I had 100% cotton mouth. And as I'm doing it, she's like, you know what, I don't think this is going to work. We should break up. And then I have to lift my head up. I'm like, are you sure about that? We deserve to be more than friends. And we broke up. And that always bothered me. The fact I never saw her vagina. 6 years in, some of this, some of that. Never saw her vagina. So after 6 years, her vagina became like Wilson from Home Improvement to me. There were glimpses of it, but because I never got to truly see it for what it was, I gave it a power and wisdom it didn't deserve. By the end, I didn't even want to eat her out. I just wanted to seek guidance, you know. So the epilogue to this is, so we broke up. I called her about a month later to see how she was doing. She was like, yeah, I've had sex. It's pretty good. I'm like, what? She's like, remember all those times I said that it was me and not you? I think it was you the whole time.
And I was like, all right. And I was upset. And I was like, you know what though? I'm gonna one up you. So I went on the dating website, Plenty of Fish. It's a dating website named for one of Jesus' lesser superpowers. And I was like, I'm gonna find myself a woman who's seen some things. I found a woman named Gladys that is an out-of-model person. The Gladys factory hasn't produced new product in over 35 years. There's just an old man outside of it. No one goes in the Gladys factory. Her name was Gladys. It was intense. Like she was crazy. She sat on my face, which after not seeing vagina for 6 years and then just seeing too much vagina, it'd be like if your first movie was all 4 Michael Bay Transformers movies. Nothing at all too much. She was intense. She like smacked my balls. She was like, she slobbered. She was like, does baby want some? And you know what? Like, it was crazy at the time, but it was perfect because at that point I was like, you know what? I'm not just gonna lose my virginity. I'm going to throw it away. Thank you so much, guys.
Chips to the flavor frontier with a vinegar zip and Dijon zips. Knowing that traveling far and wide is what keeps our flavors the giants they are. Kettle brand chips. No small flavors, no small potatoes.
He's just talking to me like the whole time in that super like porn-tastic way. He's like, I'm gonna make you come. I'm gonna make you come so hard. And I'm just like, yeah, buddy, whenever you want.
And tonight, it's all stories about romance. Please help me welcome a very, very funny woman, Miss Kate Willett, everybody. Let her hear it.
So I'm going to tell you guys a story about Burning Man. So I went to Burning Man this past year. Give it up if you've ever been to Burning Man. Anybody? Okay, some people. Yeah. I was skeptical about it because I've heard that it's kind of lame now, a lot of tech people, but it's actually really cool. There's a lot of neat stuff you can do there. You can dance all night, you can see really cool art, or you can have an unplanned pregnancy scare. That is what I did. So I went out there and I ran into this guy that I know from home. He's actually one of my roommates, and you know when you run into somebody at Burning Man, like you basically have to fuck them. It's like the gift economy thing out there. So we decided that we were gonna have sex at Burning Man, and we wanted it to be like really spiritual, really transformative, really special. But there's not a great place to have sex at Burning Man. Like we were like, oh, where are we gonna do this? You know, because my tent was like covered in dust and glitter, and in his camp they're having a non-violent communication circus arts workshop. We're like, where can we do this? So we decided on the orgy tent. Because we knew that would be possible there. So we go there, we wait in line for a while, and I see the wheels in my friend's head turning, you know, because he's like 24, and I can tell that he's like picturing this whole scenario of a bunch of like porn-looking ladies being like, I'm bisexual, but mostly I just love your dick. And I knew it was going to be a lot more Ren Fair than that. We walk in there. The first thing we see is this giant, like, bear-looking guy. He's wearing a leather utility kilt, and he is fisting a woman. He's barking like a dog. He's just like, "Rrr." And my friend looks at this whole scenario and he's like, I don't even know if I can do this with you here, Kate. It's too weird. And I was like, you gotta stop whining and put out. Like, just to be clear, I don't think that anybody is entitled to sex with anybody, but at the same time, we did wait in line for half an hour. So we go in there, we like look around, we find a spot on a mat, there's a bunch of people doing like sex yoga around, and we start having sex, and pretty immediately I can tell that it's some of the worst sex that I've ever had in my life. Like, so bad. Like, this guy is making no effort whatsoever. It is like freshman dorm kind of stuff. Like, he's not even trying because he's super cute, you know? And sometimes cute people, they don't really make that extra effort for you in bed, right? Like, if you want someone to really kill it in bed, you gotta go for the short, the fat, and the ugly. Those people are striving to be invited back. If you sleep with someone cute, it's just like, hey, I've got this dick, so congratulations. Like, the whole time they're just thinking about how lucky you are, and it's just like, ugh. But this guy, he's just talking to me, like, the whole time in that super, like, porn-tastic way. He's like, I'm gonna make you come. I'm gonna make you come so hard. I'm gonna make you come so hard. And I'm just like, yeah, buddy, whenever you want. He's like, have you ever been fucked like this before? I was just like, honestly, no. Like, he was fucking me like he did not know that I was a stand-up comedian. As a quick little side note, he knows now. So then a few minutes go by and he finishes and I also finish, but not because he was good at it, just because I'm a feminist. And he says to me, he's like, oh, Kate, I gotta tell you something. It is gonna be a real bummer. And I'm thinking, like, yeah, I know what this is, because I'm a lady that's had casual sex before, and the, like, bummer is always like, I'm really sorry that I can't have a relationship with you. And it's always from, like, the worst guy, too. Like women are just, like, sitting in their rooms being like, please, God, give me a terrible boyfriend. It's like, I'm sorry, I don't see anything long-term. It's like, dude, no, it's cool. I just want to, like, fuck 4 more times, and if we're being honest, probably loan you some money. I'm not in this to win it. So I start getting up and leaving, and he's like, no, Kate, this is a serious thing. This is really serious. So I'm like, okay, fine, what is it? He's like, the condom broke. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, that is a huge bummer, because I definitely cannot have a kid with this guy. Like, no way. No matter how many crystals he sells in the spiritual bookstore, we're not going to be able to pull it together to support a fam. And I for sure don't want to have an abortion with him. Like, I want you guys to understand, I'm not against abortion, except with him. It'd be a huge pain in the ass. He for sure would not pay for half, you know? He probably would give me like $20, which I would know was a lot for him financially, but also emotionally. And then I'd have to be like, oh, you did really good. And it's just like, I don't want to get into that, you know? We'd go to Planned Parenthood together, and we'd be sitting in the waiting room, and he'd be like, oh, man, this is some really heavy karma, dude. And I would just be like, oh, my God, how old am I going to be before I stop having sex with men who call me dude? Ugh. He'd be, like, getting upset, and so I'd, like, feed him some chips from the vending machine to calm him down. He'd be like, I don't even know if these are vegan. And I'd just be like, I can't wait to kill your baby. But I'm thinking, like, okay, this will be alright. Like, it won't come to that, you know? Obviously, they're gonna have the morning after pill at Burning Man. Of course, they have Plan B at Burning Man. Like, does Burning Man seem like a place that a lot of people have a Plan A? So I asked my friend if he wants to come with me to the medical tent. And he's like, yeah, I don't know, Kate. Like, the vibes between us are just really not chill right now. So I was like, all right, whatever. And then I just decide for myself, like, I'm going to handle this situation like the mature adult woman that I am. So I just put on my tutu and got on my bicycle. I ride to the medical tent, and I get there, and there's just like dehydrated hippies everywhere, super dusty, coming down from like every single drug. And the lady at the desk, the triage nurse, she has like purple hair, and I go up to her and I was like, hey, excuse me, do you have any plan B? And she's like, oh, what happened? And I was like, well, I was having sex with this guy and the condom broke. And she's like, oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that. Are you concerned about STDs? And I was like, you know what, I'm not really. I don't think a lot of other people would have sex with this guy. I'm a pretty special snowflake. I really am, though. Like, I've let people in my body that I would not let inside my apartment. Don't get judgy. Look, love is blind, but theft is real, okay? She's like, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but we actually don't have Plan B because this is only an emergency medical clinic and this isn't technically considered an emergency. I'm like, oh, lady, we have a huge misunderstanding. It's an emergency that I don't have a kid with this guy. Emergency. To put it in perspective for you, before we had sex, I had to loan him my hair scrunchie so that he could pull back his man bun. Emergency. She's like, okay, well, I have an idea for you. I'm like, great, what's that? She's like, there is this woman back at my camp who has a spell. So then I just started crying. And she's like, okay, here's another thing. You could go up to one of the rangers and see if there are any feminist camps that are giving out tampons or birth control. Maybe they would have Plan B. So I was like, great, I'll try it out. So I leave and I walk around until I see a ranger. He's a guy with like a walkie-talkie and a clipboard, and I just go right up to him and I was like, excuse me, sir, do you happen to know of any feminist camps that are giving out tampons or birth control or especially Plan B? And then he's like, what's Plan B? And I was like, you know, like the morning after pill. And then he's like, oh, I'm really sorry, sweetheart. I don't know about a lot of that lady stuff. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess that's understandable. Just to break it down for you, the basics of what's going on here is that I am ovulating and I am full of semen, and we have got to turn this ship around. He's like, oh, I think I understand what you need. You know who might be able to help you out is Camp Beaverton, the lesbian camp. I was like, I don't think these lesbians are going to have birth control. Like, they are birth control. I'm not just going to roll up there on my bike and be like, my sisters, I repent. I promise to write a slam poem about what I learned from this experience. No way. So I was starting to panic. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get off the playa in time to get home in that like narrow window of time you have to take Plan B. So I go back to my own camp, and then this amazing thing happens. There's this woman there. She's bisexual, but the night before she had tripped on acid, and on her acid trip she decided that she only wanted to be intimate with women from now on for the rest of the year. So she gave me her entire unopened packet of birth control for the month, and then I just took it and I ate the entire thing, which was Plan C. I'm not a mom, you guys. All right, thank you so much.
I'm marching against Jewel. Is it just me, or does this feel endless? And I'll keep marching until they stop treating humans like test subjects. Oh, excuse me.
Fact. No one knows the long-term effects of juuling. Do you?
Cupcakes here for you people.
They were witnessing a nightmare. It wasn't even a train wreck. It really was more, It's like an existential shattering of a human soul. When I was 16, I wanted to be a fashion designer, in case you didn't get that impression already. But I wrote a letter to a company that was actually based in Japan called Comedy Garçons, and I want to work for this company. And I was 16, so I figured that what you do is you write a letter to Japan, and then they hire you. And they actually wrote back through their New York offices and said, if you really want to work here in 2 more years, when you're 18, write back and we'll see what we can do. So I waited 2 years and then wrote back and then said, yeah, I still want to work there. So then I moved to New York and I was given a job in the basement office of Comme des Garçons on Worcester Street. And was fired 2 months later for stealing and other petty offenses. When I was fired, I was crying quite a bit, which the woman in charge asked me not to do. And I decided that I wasn't meant to do fashion. So at that time, I was living in the living room of 2 folks from Michigan who I didn't know really, and looking through the want ads every day in the back of the Village Voice, and came across a job for a musician. I thought, I never thought about doing that. Now, I had taken piano lessons and played piano and made music, but that to me was like reading. I never really thought, once you learn how to talk, you don't necessarily become professional unless you're going to be a stand-up comedian or something like that. Anyway, so it's easier than I thought, because it wasn't even supposed to be a joke. So I thought, well, at the worst case, the job paid $700 a week, which was more money than I'd ever imagined you could really make doing anything. It was a lot more than I was getting paid at the internship at the fashion place. So I said, okay, I'll try. Now, I figured, having never auditioned for a musical job before, that I would go in and I would have a meeting, and they would give me songs to learn, and we would talk about the band. I'd only been in high school bands and things like that. We did have original songs, but I think we once learned someone else's song and played it very poorly, and it took about 2 or 3 months of practice before we got it, and then we never played it again. Went back to the original songs because no one could judge those. So I dressed up as most professional musicians did at the time, which I envisioned to be a sport coat and with the sleeves rolled up, and I got myself psyched up and really tried to use the power of visualization, which I'd just been learning about at that time, that you could kind of picture how things would go. I learned actually doing piano recitals to picture the recital going well, and then when it goes terribly wrong and you mess up, much like the way I feel now on this stage, you'll be able to compare it and really realize how poorly it's going compared to what you visualize. So I visualized that I would get to sit in a room, maybe with a piano, kind of like I imagined it would be like a ballet studio for some reason, with mirrors along one side and a railing, and this nice gentleman who's going to give me the stack of songs to learn, come back in 2 weeks, we'll review, we'll go over this as much time as you need. And I make my way down there on the subway, all by myself. Didn't have any friends really at that time. I had 2 roommates that I was irritating, but I don't think they would have considered themselves my friends. And then found my way to this place, which was in Greenwich Village. It said on the sign, it said Cafe Wa in kind of bold colors. And I really didn't like the name. And I thought this is a bad omen. So I listened to a deeper voice that said go in. I went inside and went down some stairs. There was actually a very nice woman there that I explained I'm answering this ad. And she had a slight look of concern mixed with fear. And she seemed to say, okay, well, you know what, come over here and you can take a seat in the back and I'll go tell the manager you're here. And I thought, this is great. He'll pull me into his office and we'll talk. In the meantime, it was a packed house. It was very much like this. In fact, I haven't felt as much like I did that night until this night. And I really mean that. I mean, my heart is racing so much so that if I just sit still, I just could be seen to pulse. It's a very intense feeling. And so it was a packed house. It was a live music club. And it was a very boisterous audience, standing room only. People were singing along. I cannot exaggerate how fantastic the band was that was playing. I mean, world class. And again, it was in a place at really about this exact size, in the most eerie of ways. There were a lot of mirrors, much like this, and helped make the room somehow seem more claustrophobic in a strange way. And I found the one only person seat for this whole club. Sat down, ordered a Sprite, and just waited for her to come and tell me when the manager was ready. So I'm watching this band, and then this gentleman who had been more like the side man stepped up and took over the mic, speaking with the audience. And it was very strange for me at this time to watch this guy. I was just fascinated by his confidence, because in my eyes he had absolutely no reason to be confident. He looked like the friends I had in high school that were really into computer repair, which was the higher level of computer enthusiast, and was playing a Fender Stratocaster guitar with a strap at that height, that certain height that just doesn't seem like it can't possibly make it easier to play. So I'm watching this command the crowd, and I'm really amazed by his almost overconfidence. It turns out, of course, he's the host, and actually he's the manager. He's the manager. How amazing is this, that the manager of the club is playing in their world-class band? He's bantering with the audience. He's talking about how great everyone has been so far, what an amazing... And I understand that there's a young man somewhere in this audience tonight that's going to come up on stage here and audition for us. And the first thought was, shoot, someone else is going to get this gig. This other kid, this other guy, and I'm not even going to get a chance. And then he asked again if the young man would please show himself. And that's when I realized it was me. And I just realized I could sit there and not acknowledge myself and wait until they passed over, because he did want to keep the show moving, or I could go up there. And at that time, that really surpassed any asking out a girl for the first time. It certainly surpassed having been fired from that job. I could tell this was the most overwhelming thing that was about to happen. And I was about to actually just cop out, because it was going to be, it wasn't going to go well. It was a living nightmare. And there was a very clear voice in my head. It wasn't my voice. It's kind of like the voice that when you're reading a book silently. It's just this voice that doesn't actually have a sound, of course. But somehow it's saying these words to you. So I don't really understand how exactly that works, or whose voice that is. But it's right, it's very intimate. You can't shut it out. And it said, this is what you're supposed to do. So I said, okay. So I got up and went on the stage, and as soon as I stood up, there was one of those prison spotlights, so that I couldn't see anything except that I was very lit up. And right away, the host's face just sank. because he saw that I was 18 years old and probably either to be really amazing or really, really bad. And I managed to be both, I think. I walked up and I kind of scooted through the stage. It was very crowded. Once you get up there, you realize that everyone's kind of overlapped on top of each other. And the keyboard player specifically was not happy about me taking over his at least 3 racks of triple-tiered keyboards. And then a whole nother triple tier. And then the ones that you can't play behind you. That's always been, I can play 1, barely. So this idea of 9 was and I just was very intimidated. And all the while this is happening, I can't believe that it's happening. And I still think about just fleeing. And I'll try to run through this part quick because it's just very painful to think about. So the host is here and he says, okay, so what do you got for us? And my mouth was so dry, it was like all the moisture had gone to the palms of my hand and behind my knees. I could barely speak and the mic was way too loud. I said I didn't think it was going to be like this. And before I could even finish uttering that, the whole crowd, the tension, they were having the greatest night of their lives and it was just cut off. They were witnessing a nightmare. It wasn't even a train wreck. It really was more, it's like an existential shattering of a human soul. And this guy hosting realized that, and he said, okay, well, let's go all in. He said, well, how can you come to a thing and not have anything prepared? What song can you play? I said, I don't know. I really was thinking maybe I would play scales or something backstage. I didn't have the nerve to say that. I said, I didn't think it was going to be like this. On every level. He said, well, name a song that you can play. And this is the part that I almost wasn't going to tell you. Because it's just, out of all the songs, some that I would know, like Happy Birthday or something, I could have played that. A song I've never played, still don't know how to play, haven't even tried to play, especially after this. Hadn't heard it earlier that day, had no particular relationship to the song, no special memories about the song. I said, Rocket Man by Elton John. And at that point, I almost felt like, looking back now, the voice in my head was like, where did that go? What the hell are you doing? That's not how this is supposed to go. So he said, okay, Rocket Man. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me that this band knew every song. They knew Rocket Man. They had it memorized. No one gave them the sheet music. I could have called out any song. They go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pocket Bells, Canon and C. Miracle. So they kick into it, and it sounds just like the album, except that there's no piano playing. And I say, whoa, wait, what key is it in? I normally have the music, and even then I need a lot of practice. He said, it's on the same key as the album. I said, well, I don't know what key is that in. And then I think some of the other band were starting to get irritated, was starting to make them look bad. And then, so he said, what key do you want to play it in? And I said, C major. But the problem is, if you're even slightly familiar with Rocket Man, whatever key you started, within the first few seconds, it's changing and modulating, moving to about 18 different keys. It's probably one of the more complicated songs to try to just fake your way through. And I faked my way through it by turning the volume down on the keyboard. One of the great things about keyboards versus real pianos, just turn that down and have a ball. And then I realized I didn't know the words, so he said, I'll feed you the words one line as we go. I mean, at this point, my face was so red and hot, the way it feels right now, where your ears are so hot that they hurt without even being touched, and leave a thumbprint on your cheek. But eventually I got to the line where he said, and I think it's going to be a long, long time, which was the one line I really did know. So I was excited, and as I started to sing that, he said, and I think it's going to be a long, long time till you ever perform at Cafe Wa again. And of course, I was relieved. Of course, like, good, let me get out of here, gee whiz. And at that moment, the crowd it was just so bad, something had to give. Because he wasn't letting up on me, and I don't blame him. But someone yelled, hey, let him finish, or you're doing great, kid. And the feeling that some other person that I didn't know, that had no reason, they cared about me. They were shouting for me, and like a whole sea change, the whole vibe changed to, come on, you can do it, like an underdog. The thing, I really couldn't do it, so it wasn't like I won the game or scored this three-pointer and brought it all home. Finished the song very, very badly, left the stage, but there was still something kind of satisfying about it, I guess. The bass player, he put his hand on my shoulder and said, it's gonna be okay. Sort of like, you're gonna live through this. And I walked down the stairs and I went back and then, very slowly walked out. But the feeling was that if I could not make it through that, I could not make it through anything.
I'm marching against Jewel. Is it just me or does this feel endless? And I'll keep marching until they stop treating humans like test subjects. Oh, excuse me.
Fact. No one knows the long-term effects of juuling. Do you?
Cupcakes here for you people.
She got into the van and I had to go diarrhea right then, so I went into her house and had diarrhea while she was sitting in my parents' car, and this is the reality. Was? Cassie, yeah, she was cute, dude. I remember Cassie. My first crush was Katie T. I still remember her. Short black hair. I've always liked short hair on women. I think it's cool when women do that. You gotta have a pretty face usually, but I like when, a girl's like sees what all the other girls are doing. It's like, no, I'm doing something different. I like that. She had a great smile. She had a great sense of adventure. I know that because that's what I wrote in my diary in 4th grade. She has a great I still don't know what the fuck that means. A great sense of adventure? And she had a great laugh. She had a booming laugh. And now, I'm 37 years old. I think about every woman I've ever been in love with. They all had giant laughs. I think really what I need is just somebody who thinks I'm funny. Or someone that can pretend that I'm funny. And either way, I'm okay with that. But I remember her laugh, and she would screw up my stomach. I used to get diarrhea when she would look at me, or she would twirl her hair or smile at me. I mean, now I know that usually means, I like somebody if I get a little stomach thing. But when you're 10, you're just like, what is this? How come I have to take a shit every time I see Katie? And we would carpool, and on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, we would pick up Katie, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they would pick me up, and we would go to school together at Angel Elementary School. And I remember one day she was looking really cute, and we picked her up in our red Chevy Lumina, and she got into the van, and I had to go diarrhea right then. So I went into her house and had diarrhea while she was sitting in my parents' car. And this is the reality. She was just very sweet. She was very nice. I remember her mom who was just a bigger Katie. She had this big laugh, and she was very generous and kind. She would drive 25 minutes to the Asian market, and she would get these amazing wasabi peas and sesame crackers, and Katie would always offer me some of the sesame crackers. And one day she handed me a whole bag, and I took one and I handed it back. She said, "No, this is from my mother and I. We just want you to have your own bag." And why do I remember this? This was 27 years ago, and it affected me so much. I'm the youngest of four. Nothing was my own. If you're from a big family, nothing is yours. My winter jacket was like 23 years old by the time I got it. There was other 6 cousins and every sibling. There was other things in the pockets when I got my jacket. And I remember that she gave me my own bag of sesame crackers. This is how sweet she was. And Saturdays I played soccer. Now I'm a very competitive person. I've been fortunate athletically. I played professional tennis for 4 years. I'm not telling you this to sound like an asshole. I'm telling you this because it relates to the story. Sports is something I was good at. And Katie shows up to my soccer game with her mom Saturday morning. Here comes Katie. Here comes her mom. This is it. Here's the girl I like, and here's the thing I'm good at. I scored 6 goals that day. I scored 1 goal as a goalie. Okay, now, do you know how selfish you have to be with the ball to score as a goalie? My father asked the coach to take me out of the game. Dads asked the coach to put their son in the game. But this was, I was trying to impress Katie, okay? Now, in my house, my mom invented this thing called the special plate, okay? The special plate is a real plate that you eat off of when you achieve something or you have success. This is not a fucking joke. It's a plate. It has balloons on it. It says hip hip hooray. We're proud of you for being in our family. This is a real thing. And when you score 6 goals, 1 is a goalie, you get to eat off the special plate, okay? If you got an A on your spelling test, you got to eat off the special plate. And it sounds great, but as you get older and you experience therapy, you go, oh, this was kind of fucked up. This was all outcome-based. This was all achievement and success-based, right? And my dad used to just give himself the special plate sometimes. Like, oh, work was tough, special plate. No, you can't just... Anyways, I scored 6, 1 as a goalie, and... did you guys hear that it was 6, 1 as a goalie back here? And, hold on, my mouth is dry. Talking about Katie affects me physically. So Monday comes around, school, and guess who doesn't give a shit that I did 6 goals, 1 as a goalie? Katie's not impressed. Didn't even realize it, I don't think. And this baffles me. I mean, as someone that's coming from a family that's very focused on result and outcome, it frustrated me. But now, you understand it. That wasn't what her family was into. Her mom would go adopt the dogs and bring kids to the children's hospital. This wasn't like their big focus. And I was bummed that she wasn't into it. It was, her loss as I saw it. And now, science projects were coming up, and this was big because I sat diagonally from Katie T. in Mrs. Kelsey's 4th grade. Anyone else have Mrs. Kelsey? Yeah, and Mrs. Kelsey would pair you up with your science project partner diagonally. That's just how she always did it. Okay, it was no guarantee, but I felt like it was going to happen. So once I got paired with Katie, we have ample time together. That's great. Now I had weird Josh Barter sitting to my right, and then annoying Lindsay was across from me, okay? And Mrs. Kelsey says, someone has to make an announcement in class. And Katie sheepishly walks up to the front of class, and she says, she starts to talk, but she can't talk. She's crying. She's too sad. She runs to Mrs. Kelsey. Mrs. Kelsey hugs her and says, Katie's mom is sick, and she's in the hospital, and Katie's going to be missing some school. And it was was very sad. We were all sad, and we made one of those giant cards that you make, you know, the Asian kid designs it, and then everyone else kind of signs it, and we sent it off to Katie's mom. And so the next day, Mrs. Kelsey's signing science projects, but there's a wrinkle, okay? Weird Josh Barter isn't there, okay? Turns out he left. Do you remember the kid that just left? And nobody gave a shit? No, there was no cake, there was no card. And he was weird, Josh. One time I looked in his backpack and there was like a shotgun shell in there, and you're like, so he's gone. So now what happens? I should still be paired up with Katie T, but who's with annoying Lindsay, right? Nobody. So Mrs. Kelsey starts pairing us off, okay? And she's doing it diagonally, thank God. So this is going to give me some ample time with Katie T. Maybe I can figure out the whole diarrhea thing. And she gets to Katie, and maybe it's because Katie's mom is sick. I don't know what it was, but she says to Katie, Katie, you can pick who you want. If you want to be with Lindsay, you want to be with Michael, you know? And I'm like, well, that's you know, pretty bullshit, but I'm still confident. You know, I scored 6 goals, one as a goalie. Like, why would she not pick me? I'm a Costa. Costas are winners. That's how we've been, you know, we'll eat off the special plate together. And Katie is very happy that she gets to pick. Nobody else gets to pick. And she picks Lindsay. She picks fucking Lindsay to be her science project partner. Annoying, short, fat Lindsay. And you could say that then. This was 27 years ago where you were allowed to fat shame. So don't think of it from this year. Put it through 89. And I was broken. I mean, I can actually feel it right now, and this is crazy to me, right? But it hurt. I felt vulnerable. I didn't even know what that word meant, and I felt that. I felt a loss. I don't lose. You know, I scored 6. I didn't know what to do. I'm 10 also. Don't forget that. I'm 10, and I'm feeling rejected, and I'm feeling hurt. And I took that pain, and I took that rejection, and I took that feeling that I did not like and was uncomfortable with, and I spoke. And I said as loud as I could to her and everyone, I said, I hope your mom dies in the hospital. Now I know, but then this was the first of many times where my mouth would get me in a lot of trouble, okay? I mean, here I am at a strip club telling a story to strangers, so it was a terrible thing to say. And as soon as I said it, Katie withered, and she became a speck. She started crying. I've never seen anybody so physically hurt. And Mrs. Kelsey sent her down to the nurse's office. I was sent down to the principal's office. I walked real slow down there. You know, now it makes me think of when I tell my dog to go into the cage, and you kind of like, you know, and we all remember walking down to the principal's office, and even I at 10 remember thinking, like, God, that was dick, you know? And I sat in the principal's office, and I saw Katie with the nurse, and she was broken. I had broken her. I had taken my pain, and I had multiplied it by 1,000, and I had dumped it on her. And it's worse than that, because 3 days later, Katie's mother dies in the hospital. This is not a joke. This is not written. This is real. This is a real story. And I have not spoken to Katie since then. I regret that I said that. I've never apologized to her or her family. And I realize it's a little self-indulgent to put pain on someone and then use it as a performance piece to advance my comedy career. But that's not what this is. I'm publicly here to say to Katie that I'm sorry, and to her family, I'm sorry, and I regret that I ever said that. Thank you very much.
Michael Fassler, everybody!
I'm marching against Jewel. Is it just me or does this feel endless? And I'll keep marching until they stop treating humans like test subjects. Oh, excuse me.
Fact. No one knows the long-term effects of juuling. Do you?
Cupcakes here for you people.
He runs after me, grabs me, and he goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I go, "Living, bro," and I punch him in the face. Run away. Like, there's happy drunk, there's sad drunk. I was runaway drunk.
Very, very funny man. He's got his own podcast called My Dumb Friends. Give it up for Dan St. Germain, everybody.
Drugs and alcohol have affected every area of my life. It's affected my relationship with women and my relationship with sex. This is small aside. I spent $1,500 to have a escort come over one night, and I couldn't get it up, so I just spent all night holding her hand like it was the first date. Where I'm like, "Hey, if I pay extra, can we do that animal cracker scene from Armageddon?" It's affected my relationship with my family. My family, once I was naked in my parents' living room doing lines. Naked's the official uniform of cocaine, by the way. That's like Superman's cape. And they came home early, and the only thing that I could think to say was, "Don't come in, I'm masturbating." You know your life's in a sad place if masturbation's the safe option with your parents. And then when they turned their back, I took the rest of the cocaine, put it in a bag, and shoved it up my ass so I could do the cocaine in the basement while they were asleep before they got up for work at 6 a.m. I did coke the same way Golem eats. It's the biggest area of my life it's affected are my relationships with my friends, my friendships. When I was 20 years old, I was actually a janitor at a middle school, which at the time didn't fit. Now it looks like it fits. Like now I look like the guy who's like, "Hey, if you kids want to miss dodgeball, I'll tell you how I got this hook," you know. But at the time it didn't fit. I was very clean face. And my friend called me up and he said, "Hey, I got tickets to the Gathering of the Vibes, to this jam band festival in upstate New York." Yeah, it was like I went there in high school. I had a really fun time there in high school. Did a lot of drugs. I met a chick. It was fucking great, right? And I'm 20. At this point, like, I'm getting way more. Like, it's like my fucked up time's getting way more dark. But I'm excited because I'm like working a shitty job. My life's in a shitty place. I'm like, all right, I have something to look forward to on one of these janitor weekends. It sounds like the worst buddy comedy ever. Get ready for Janitor Weekend, starring Zach Braff and another Zach. Still on Zach's in the movie. Anyway, my friend picks me up. We stop at my friend John. He picks me up. We stop at the liquor store. He already should have known there was going to be a problem that weekend because he got a 12-pack of beer, and I bought like a handle of Black velvet whiskey. And then, oh my God, that's like what you drink in like a baby shower on Deadwood, you know? So we get in the car. I'm getting like fucking hammered the whole trip to this, and I'm just getting drunk. I'm like starting to argue with him. Like it's not making any sense. And we get to the Gathering of the Vibes, and Gathering of the Vibes has changed since like last time I was there. It was like peace, love, and understanding. Now there's like one good vibe, and all the other vibes are, I wonder how much ecstasy I can get if I steal that guy's iPod, you know? And we're in the car, we're arguing, and then all of a sudden, like, we're online, we're like in a car line waiting to go into this festival, and the back door opens, and I swear to God, this old man walks in, and he looked like, imagine if like Burt's Bees had like a cousin, but instead of selling bee shit, he just sold the milk he squeezed from possums, you know? He sits down, and we look at him, and he just goes, "Don't mind me, passing through," and he passes out in the back like it was a bonus round on Oregon Trail. But I'm such a drunk. My friend doesn't even notice that because I'm already fucking, like, I'm already yelling at him. And I'm like, he's like, "Stop fucking with the air conditioner." And I'm like, "Your mom's an air conditioner." He's like, "That doesn't make any sense. Stop playing Stevie Nicks Landslide." I'm like, "It's a good song. Go fuck yourself." We're fighting back and forth. We're fighting so much that in the middle of it, the old guy just wakes up and he goes, "Okay," and he leaves. Like, I was so annoying, I made a hobo turn down shelter. That's how annoying I was. He's like, "I'd rather die in the cold than deal with this shit. I'm going back to Hobo Island." But we're fighting more and more. We're coming down to the 10 area. He's like, "Fuck you down." I'm like, "Fuck you." He's like, "What's your problem? The Iraq War was wrong." He's like, "You're not making any sense." I jump out of the car as it's driving. Now, this sounds like very Lethal Weapon-y and impressive, but the car was only going 10 miles an hour, so it just looked like the most low-stakes hostage situation ever. So he stops the car, he runs after me, grabs me, and he goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I go, "Living, bro," and I punch him in the face and run away. Like, there's happy drunk, there's sad drunk, I was runaway drunk. I don't remember much of the night. What I do remember is I had taken 2 hits of acid, and I was nervous because I drank so much that I was going to pass out and not experience the acid. So I bought a gram of cocaine that I immediately did to my dome. And I remember I turned to the guy who sold me the cocaine, and I'm like, "Oh, you want to talk now?" And he goes, "I'm cool," and he walks away. So he's probably a doctor now. And then that's all I remember. I pass out, and then I woke up the next day, and I was in my friend's trunk, and the trunk was open. My friend is like sitting in the corner, like he's like sitting on one of those like camp chairs, and he's smoking a cigarette, and he's looking off into the distance, and it's just that palpable feeling of I fucked up, you know. And I turn to him and I'm like, "Hey, John." He goes, "What?" I go, "I'm sorry." He goes, "Sorry for what?" "For punching you in the face." And then he goes, "The first time or the second time?" Apparently later in the night I punched him in the face again. That wasn't a good scene. I walked away. I found like this like little creek near the not creek. It was like just kind of a ditch, and I started like puking because I was fucking hungover from that. It looked like the whole thing was like the most white trash Ansel Adams photo ever. And then this dude comes up in back of me, and then I just hear, "Rico?" And I'm like, "No." And I'm like forcing myself to puke. And he's like, "Rico." He's like, I'm like, "I'm not Rico. I'm not Rico." And he goes, "No, you're Rico." I'm like, "I'm fucking not Rico." And then he takes out his digital camera and he shows the pictures. And I had been partying with that guy the night before and told him my name was Rico. And I'm like, "I'm so sorry." He goes, "No, don't worry, man. You were fucking hilarious. You told great stories. You helped my friend Mike through a breakup. You like played him this Bob Dylan song that helped." And then he goes, "How's law school going?" I told him I was going to law school. You
It's good. It's good. And then he goes, dude, come here. And then he like puts a fucking clump of mushrooms in my hand. And I look at it and I'm like, well, when in upstate New York and I eat the mushrooms, cut to like a half hour later, at this point I'm like starting to feel the body buzz. And he goes, hey, dance for us like you did last night. And I'm like, what? So I start dancing, and they think it's hilarious, but I think it's sexy because I'm tripping. Like, it looked like if Jabba danced for Leia, you know? It was like the opposite of what it normally is. So, and then I start dancing away from them, but then they follow me, and we're all dancing in this line through the festival, and in the distance, I see my friend John, and he looks at us and goes, what the fuck, Dan? Like, and then the guy in back of me goes, it's not Dan, it's Rico. And then he goes, it's fucking Dan. And he's like, no, it's Rico. And then John's like, it's Dan. And then the guy reaches into his pocket, pulls out some more mushrooms, goes up to my friend John, puts it in his hand, and my friend John looks at the mushrooms. He goes, you know, Dan was rude, obnoxious, violent, and drunk last night, but this guy Rico, well, he seems pretty cool. And he ate the mushrooms, and then we all partied together. It was 2 rehabs later. I'm still dancing. Guys, thank you so much. Have a good night.
Sometimes the front lines are in our own backyard. Make a difference in your community. Serving part-time in the Army National Guard.
After I performed in the Middle East, I had one of the longest flights of my life coming home. It was probably about a 26-hour trip. Okay, we left out of Kuwait. We had about 4 stops. It was long. When I got home, I was so tired. I turned on my phone to check my messages, and I had a voicemail message from a guy by the name of Channing Tatum. Right? Now, for those of you not wooing, let me explain who that is. Channing Tatum is the new Hollywood hot guy. He's the guy that comes out on all these movies, really good looking, ripped. You know, he's making a lot of films. And there's a voicemail on there from him. Gabriel Iglesias, this is Channing Tatum. Please call me at your earliest convenience, blah, 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 you know. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I call him up. Hello. I go, hi, this is Gabriel Iglesias. I'm calling from Mr. Channing Tatum. He yells, Fluffy! Hello? Oh, dude, man, I'm a huge fan. Hey, listen, bro, really quick, I only have like a minute. Look, bro, I'm doing a new movie, and I want to see if you're interested in reading and auditioning for one of the parts. I go, sure, bro. I'd be happy to audition for your movie. What's it called? He goes, the movie's called Magic Mike. I was like, okay, Magic Mike. So you need a magician, you need an assistant, you want to saw me in half. What's gonna happen? Actually, bro, the movie has nothing to do with magic. It's actually a movie about male strippers. I said, male strippers? He goes, yeah, male strippers. I said, you do know that this is Gabriel Iglesias, right? He goes, you're funny, bro. Listen, we've already got the dancers, but we need somebody to play the DJ at the club. Will you audition for the part? I said, you know what, bro? I'll be there, okay? And just to let you guys know, because some people have asked me in the past, how come you're not in more movies? Because you have to audition. And I don't like auditions because they treat you like crap. Auditions are very cold and very just, they make you feel like they seriously do. You work really hard to memorize all your lines, and you show up and you try to do your thing, and they cut you off really quick. You're in there and you're like, okay, so who am I reading? Hold on. Hold on. Hey, how's it going? Don't talk to him. All right, no problem. You ready? Yes, I'm ready. Real quick question. How much energy do you want? You don't know? That's why I'm asking. And when you're done, you try to ask him more questions. Like, is this okay? Would you like me to go again? Thank you. I've had the fingers this so many times, and it hurts. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you're sitting in your car and you're crying. They don't like me. It's a terrible feeling, so I don't like putting myself through that. But since I got a phone call from the guy, I'm like, all right, I hope it's a little bit different. So I show up to the audition. I'm sitting in the lobby, and it's funny because anytime there's an audition, everybody at the audition, usually they're looking for a specific type. And so everybody that's sitting there with me looks just like me. Everybody in there's big, everybody's sitting there, everybody's all happy and jolly and stuff, and we're all looking at each other trying to outdo each other, like, no, I look more like me than you do. You don't look like me. No, this is what they want. No, this is what they want, you know. So the receptionist looks at me, she goes, Mr. Iglesias, they'll see you now. And I'm like, okay, cool, here we go, let's see how this goes. So I start mentally preparing myself for the problems that happen in there. I walk in, I don't say anything to anyone. I walk in, there's 3 people in the room, I close the door. And I just look over at the casting person who's sitting at her desk, and hello. And the camera person, and the person I'm reading with all jumped up and yelled, Fluffy! And they ran over to me, and they started hugging me and pulling out camera phones. Now I'm taking pictures with them. Next thing you know, they call the receptionist, Judy, get in here. And the girl comes in. Now I'm taking pictures with 4 women. We're going back and forth. I'm like, this is different. You know? And I go, wow, this is very refreshing. Thank you. I says, who am I reading my part with? And the casting person says, this is a formality. They've always wanted you for the part. And they said, if you showed up, it's yours. So basically, we've already called your agent since you showed up. Really? Yeah, it's great. So I get to my car. My agent is blowing up my phone, right? And I answer the phone and go, hello. He's like, dude, you nailed that audition. What did you do? I was like, dude, I took pictures. Way to take those pictures, bro. Next thing I know, I'm on the set of the movie Magic Mike. The movie is directed by a director named Steven Soderbergh, who's an amazing, amazing director, who's done a lot of great films, and of course Channing Tatum's in the movie. In addition to him, there's an actor by the name of Matthew McConaughey who's attached to the movie. I'm a huge fan of Matthew McConaughey, okay? When I found out I was going to work with him, I was so excited. You know, people say, really, you get excited? You get starstruck? Hell yeah. I'm a comedian, not an actor. So I show up, and immediately they send me to the makeup trailer that's parked outside. So I go inside the makeup trailer, I sit down, they start working on my hair, they start putting makeup on me, and in comes Matthew McConaughey. And he sits down in the chair next to me, and I start freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, that's Matthew McConaughey. And now, I decide to introduce myself before I did or said something stupid, right? So I look over at him and I say, excuse me, Mr. McConaughey, how you doing? My name is Gabriel Iglesias. I'm going to be playing the part of Tobias, the club DJ, and I just wanted to say hello, and it's an honor to work with you. And in my head, I'm like, I hope he's the same guy. I hope he's the same person from the movies. I hope his voice is the same. I hope his accent's the same. And he looks at me and he says, all right. How you doing there, big man? You doing good? I'm doing good. All right. And I'm spazzing out. They pull my ass out of the trailer and they take me out to the set. And the majority of the shots in the movie Magic Mike are shot inside of a strip club, okay? It's on a stage, and I'm very comfortable up here. But the cool part for me is I'm on the side of the stage inside of a DJ booth, so I don't have any worries. The director comes up to me and he says, listen, Gabe, you got all your speaking roles in the film, but in addition to that, you are the key background in every shot when it comes to the dancers. He goes, the guy on stage is the eye candy, but you're the guy that provides the ear candy, and you need to express yourself and give me energy. Can you do that? Yes, sir. Let's do this. Next thing I know, all right, everybody, here we go. And quiet on the set. And action. All of a sudden, the dancing. Dancer comes out, camera starts panning just like that one, right? And all of a sudden, I'm in my DJ booth, and I start DJing it up. The director comes out from behind the camera, crosses the stage, and gets in my face. That's what I'm talking about. Give me more. Like, okay. Here we go, quiet on the set. And action. And I take off. I attend the screening of the film with my girlfriend at Warner Brothers Studios. We're sitting there and we're waiting for that part to come up. And I tell her, it's coming, it's coming. Watch. Sure enough, the camera starts panning. And you see the dancer, you can't even see his head. All you see is his body all freaking ripped and moving. And in the background, in the DJ booth, you cannot see any of the DJ equipment because it's all below the line of the camera. All you see in the background is some chubby pervert in a box having the time of his life. And my girlfriend's like, oh, you're gay. I guess so. And that was my Hollywood debut right there. And in addition to that, there was a couple of other things that happened in this movie that I gotta share because you're never gonna hear about them in a DVD bonus feature. One of the characters in the movie, his name in the movie is Big Dick Richie. I'll leave it at that. He's played by an actor named Joe. Joe's a cool guy. I met him after, we became buddies after the movie, and nice guy. He's big, he's ripped, okay? And his whole thing is he comes out on stage and he's dancing behind a silhouette. So all you see is the shadow of him dancing for 3 minutes. And after the 3rd minute, he grabs his G-string, and this is how he finishes his performance. He tears it off, exposing a shadow of, Now, in real life, Joe does not possess. It's more like, Don't laugh too hard, that's most of us, okay? Now, because they needed to make this scene happen and we're shooting it in Hollywood, they made a phone call to an adult film company that was up the street, and they got a hold of their props department. And they said, basically, you know, what we need is about 45 impressive male rubber parts to be brought down to the set of the movie Magic Mike so we can attach one of them to an actor for a scene. It took maybe 30 minutes for some guy to show up with a big trunk on the set, and you could just tell he did not belong. You know what I mean? And Channing Tatum saw him, and he goes, "Are you the guy?" "I'm the guy." And he brought him inside the house, and he got all the actors around the kitchen table, and he told the guy, he says, "Listen, bro, dump it out right here, all of it." And the guy opens up the trunk, and he dumps out all of these big freaking, you know, it made a mountain. And all the actors were just standing there, just staring, like, "Oh my God!" All of a sudden, the 12-year-old came out of all of us, because we all grabbed one and started playing Star Wars, just... Bend over, you will. And that's something you're not going to hear about in the true Hollywood story or something like that. Another thing I got to share about this experience doing the movie Magic Mike is that we shot it in 2 locations. We shot it in Hollywood, and we shot it in Tampa, Florida. And one of the scenes was shot on a sandbar, which most of you know already is a little tiny island with nothing on it. It's real small, and people go there and they party. And so we get to this little island, and this guy with the headphones, his title is PA, Personal Assistant to the Director, and he comes over and he tells us, "Listen, guys, we're going to be here for a couple of hours. If you need to use the facilities, these are your options. There's no plumbing here. You can either go in the water, or you can go to those bushes over there. It's up to you." And I'm like, "I'm fine, I already went. 2 hours, no problem." 4 hours later. "What do you need?" "Listen, bro, you guys said we were only going to be here for like 2 hours. It's going on 5. My stomach is killing me. What's the story?" "We're going to be here for like another 3. The director has some more shots." "Oh, you have your options. Thanks." So the first thing I look at is the water, okay? And to put it into perspective for you guys, the water's like right there, okay? And all the actors are like right there, okay? So it's like, are you kidding me? I'm not gonna go pop a squat in the water in front of all those actors just so somebody can walk by and go, "Fluffy's killing fishes." So I take a stroll out to the bushes, right? So I start walking out to the bushes. My stomach is killing me. And fortunately, by the time I got there, my stomach had settled. So I no longer had to go number 2. But since I was there, you know, gonna make it rain, you know what I'm saying? So I'm in the bushes, and I'm doing my thing, and all of a sudden I start hearing noises. Just and you know how you could just feel when somebody's standing like right next to you? And I couldn't turn around because, you know, I was doing my thing. All of a sudden, I see a shadow. A long shadow. And it's coming in my direction. And I see that, and I'm like, "Ha ha, funny, Joe, that's funny." All of a sudden, that shadow started to pee. And I was like, "Oh my God, it's real." Now curiosity has me. I gotta find out who the hell the owner. So really quick, I'm just like, you know, oh my God! All right.
The wait is finally
Fucking mushroom. I'm hungry. Trying to get something to eat. Maybe a taco or some chicken. I don't have any of that though. Oh well.